I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Asbury Park City Council to order. As to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the following manner. The annual notice was forwarded to the Asbury Park Press, the Coaster, and the Star-Ledger on January 2nd, 2015, and posted on a bulletin board on the same date. All notices are on file with the city clerk. At this time, we're going to proceed with a swearing-in ceremony. Our city attorney will be swearing in the following police chaplains: Lydell Atkins, Daniel Correa, and Mark White, and he'll be doing them individually in that order. So if the first one, Lydell Atkins, can please come up and get sworn in.
I, please state your name,
I, Lydell Atkins,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and the government established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office of police chaplain
of the office of police chaplain
for the city of Asbury Park
for the city of Asbury Park,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
All right, Daniel Correa, please come up and get sworn in.
I state your name.
I, Dan Correa,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith
that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully
impartially,
and impartially
and justly perform
all the duties of the office of police chaplain
for the city of Asbury Park
for the city of Asbury Park,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And if we could have Mark White please come up and get sworn in.
I, please state your name,
I, Mark White,
do solemnly swear or affirm
solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the office of police chaplain
of the office of the police chaplain
for the city of Asbury Park
for the city of Asbury Park,
according to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Get a picture of all three together.
Tony. Can you get them together so Amy can take a picture? Okay. Okay.
I saw, thank you. Okay, now we're going to continue on to our public participation portion of the meeting. May I have a motion to open the public portion of the meeting?
Move it. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public is expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted. The chair will immediately rule such conduct out of order, and after appropriate warning, may terminate any further comments from the speaker. I will indicate there is a 3-minute time limit, and when you do come up to the microphone, please state your name and address for the record. Anybody wish to speak in public portion? Yes. Go ahead.
Good evening, Council. My name is Tracy Rogers, 922 Monroe. I'd like to address a few issues. First, I'd like to know how much money is being set aside for
you speak
roads.
up?
How much money is being set aside for the road repaving throughout the city? Is there a budget set aside? And what you're totally looking at, quite a few streets along Monroe, along Bank need serious repair. Also, I want to address the resolution that it's on the calendar tonight about property that's being transferred from Asbury Park properties on Heck Avenue. I wanted to know the project that's being done there. This says 34 apartments or condos are being built. I wanted to know, was there affordable housing component attached to that project? And if it is, how many affordable housing units will be met under that agreement of that transferring from the city to Asbury Park properties/Star? And also, I'd like to know, I address asking the mayor that if Asbury Park/Star is doing redevelopment and they signed an agreement in 2002, how many times a year or each year are they updating the whole city of all the redevelopment actions that are going on at the boardwalk, which should affect every resident in the city? And if they could actually go out to schools and have a meeting to let them know of any concerns or questions that all the residents would like to know. And also, I'd like to know, well, just those questions.
Currently, we have a 5-year plan in place for road improvement. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I definitely will get that for you for the next meeting. All right, but it's a long-term plan, plus 5 years.
Over 5 years?
Plus 5 years.
Let me just add on to that a little bit. The 5-year plan is something that's in the works. And in the past 3 to 4 years, not one street has been paved in Asbury Park, which is terrible. It's something we're looking to correct. We have a couple grants here and there. We've been deficient, be it this council, past councils, as far as applying for federal and state money. That, with the new engineers being addressed. So you're absolutely right. The streets are bad, east, west, north, south. That plan is in the process of being put together so we can use the little bit of money that we did apply for and never fix any streets before that money runs out. We can add money to it either through bonding or applying for new monies. And then once we get a strategy, then we'll address, obviously we'll go from worst to best. But that is definitely in the works. with the new engineering firm. Okay, the second question?
Second question, the project on Heck Avenue, the transfer?
No affordable housing. That's a project in the WRA waterfront redevelopment area, and it has no affordable housing in it.
And the only thing I'm going to piggyback on that is Asbury Park's required to provide a certain amount of affordable housing units by DCA. We actually exceed the number of affordable housing units that we're required. So I don't know the numbers, but I can get them to Tony.
Well, no, I know what your numbers are, but I think exclusively in the area, and this has been done throughout the state, that in areas that are market rate or high market rate, we're not looking to add affordable housing to these sections. I understand you have a lot that's set aside, but let's remember that affordable housing wants to move themselves across the state and through cities, not just in one area. So I would think that you would be looking at even the waterfront having some of affordable housing units.
Right, the only thing I would add to that is that it's all in the 2002 plan, so there has been no changes to that plan. We're in the process of amending it, but what's going forward was decided on in 2002. And there are some affordable housing components in there, so, but there's all things that are on the table moving forward, but nothing has been done to this point. It's an old plan.
So we need to review that plan.
Yeah, it just happened.
Part of the holdup with reviewing the plan, just so you know, is that we lost our city planner. So Don Emmett left, essentially in the new year. So once we get a new city planner, the idea is to go through the 2002 plan and make it a 2015 plan.
And the next step, would you start talking to Asbury Park Star to have meetings throughout the city so all the residents know what this plan is?
When we have a new plan? Oh, yeah, there's a public hearing.
Well, I mean, we have public hearings, but I think people in the West aren't feeling that they're a part of the waterfront area.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
every
that.
resident here, whether they're on the West or at the boardwalk, should feel that they're part of Asbury Park.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could just clarify one thing on that resolution, the way the title of the resolution reads, one might think that it's the city that's transferring that property to a private party, and that's not actually the case. The property is already owned by Asbury Partners iStar, and they are merely seeking the city's consent to transfer the title into the name of a related entity, a related entity of Asbury
Why would
Partners.
that, if they own
It relates to the LLC that is going to develop the property, which is a related entity of Asbury Partners.
Because it's in the redevelopment.
Yes, and because it's in the redevelopment zone, the requirements are that if the master redeveloper intends to transfer or lease any property that it owns in that section of the city, it must first gain the approval of the mayor and council, which is what is being sought with this resolution.
Okay, so.
But it's basically going from Asbury Partners to itself, only a different LLC, which is a related entity.
Well, because they did that, it questions that the mayor and the council are involved in the selection of movement of property, whether they own it or not. But that affects to the redevelopment plan being extended so we can see an updated version from 2002 to 2015, right?
Yes, and I know the mayor and council are very anxious to move forward with amendments overall to the waterfront redevelopment plan, and that will be something that the city moves forward with in the short term.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Frederickson. I'm at 302 8th Avenue, and I am here speaking on behalf of the Asbury Park Homeowners Association because we have a very exciting event happening on Sunday, and it's our 20th anniversary house tour. I want to explain a little bit what a house tour is. Some people think a house tour is a real estate company trying to sell you houses. That's not what it's about at all. What it is 10 owners of homes open their homes so that you can go and visit. They tell you the history of the home. You get to see how they decorate, the furniture, and everything else. It's a really kind of a fun day. And it's also a fundraiser for the Student Scholarship Fund, which I'll just talk about in a second. But the homes we have this year are really exciting. We have 10 great homes. We have all different types of homes. We have 2 very modern homes, like if you want to see the vibe or Wesley Grove, and then we have some colonial and we have some Victorian, beautiful homes that these owners are opening up for people to see. And it's a fundraiser, as I said, and what's happening is the homeowners tomorrow night are going to be awarding 3 $1,500 scholarships to 3 kids going to college, and we're also giving 11 students, younger students, free summer camp this year. So we're very excited about that. And I know you're all wondering, how do I get my tickets? Well, there are 3 ways you can get your tickets. One way is you can go to a couple of the area shops, like the Showroom and the Asbury Cup and the Roastery are all selling tickets. And you can come on Saturday and get them at the market, the farmer's market on Saturday. And if you buy your tickets ahead of time, they're $20. And if you buy it the day of, and the day of they'll be selling tickets right out here in Municipal Plaza, and they're $25. So we would love for a lot of people to come out and support what we're doing and having a great time at the house tour. But I want to give you one warning. Once you've been to one house tour, you're going to want to go again and again, and then you're going to want to go to see the one in Ocean and the one in Belmar and everything else. It's a little bit of an addiction. So if you've never been to a house tour, it's a lot of fun, and we would love for you to come. Thank you.
Robert Wiener, 601 Madison Avenue. I know you have so many important things on your agenda, and I hesitated to bring this up many, many times, but I'd just like to talk about this now. I live in the Post Building, and I face Cookman Avenue, and I face a building that Carter Sackman has been attempting to renovate for I don't know how many years. It's been a mess in front for many, many years. We're passing around some pictures that I just took this afternoon. And the only reason I'm bringing this up right now, and by the way, the pictures look better than the street, is because on Saturday, we're going to have thousands of people coming in here for the for the downtown Asbury Underground. And I'm frankly embarrassed when people walk by and see what's doing on Cookman Avenue, because they're going to be walking up and down Cookman Avenue. I don't know if there's any laws that he's breaking or anything that's happening, but it's just been a horrible mess to walk by that for over a year now. So that was it. That was just my concern, that if there's anything we could do to clean it up by Saturday, I think it should be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we keep the pictures? I'm going to give it to Tony. Okay.
Hi, I'm Lee Lloyd. I live at 301 4th Avenue, and I just want to point out a very quick thing that happened on Sunday, and it's happened on a couple of other Sundays previously. On Sunday morning at around 7:30 in the morning, the old Salvation Army building on 5th Avenue, which they're turning into a boutique hotel, they had workmen in there. They were sawing concrete, they were jackhammering. It was unbelievable on a Sunday. So I called the Asbury Park Police, and they came, and they were very, very nice, but nobody seemed to know if there was an ordinance for this. So my husband and I knew there was an ordinance for this because we had seen it before, so we had to go back into the internet and find it. And the ordinance is code 3-25-4.e, noise and nuisances. And I mean, this is not the first time this has happened. I've had to call before. And I guess my question is, I mean, is iStar exempt from the city ordinances because the foreman working the job said to the police that iStar told him it was fine for him to work on Sundays? So I guess it's a quality of life issue. I have no problem with the development. It's awesome that it's being developed, but my issue is that, you know, Sundays, there's an ordinance, and from 6 p.m. Saturday night until 8 a.m. Monday, they're not supposed to do work. And I would also like to add that they actually start working at about 7 a.m. on the weekdays when they're really supposed to start at 8, which, I mean, I'm not going to make a big deal over, but again, that is the ordinance unless it's changed. So I would like to see these corporations held accountable for the rules of Asbury Park. So that's really, I mean, are they going to be following the ordinance?
Yes, and I don't know if somebody sent me a email or text message Sunday, and
Yeah.
as soon as I got it, I sent it to Tony Nuccio, and he's going to explain what we've done since then.
Okay.
I had a meeting with our construction official about the matter. I know that he reached out to
all right, iStar in regards to it. All right, he's been put on notice, or iStar's been put on notice, all right, that if they continue to do any work on Sundays, they will receive, all right, a summons. This is also something that's going to be, all right, discussed at our staff meeting tomorrow.
Oh, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ma'am, can I just have your name again, please?
Sure, I'm Lee Lloyd, L-L-O-Y-D,
Thank you.
301 4th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. Felicia Simmons, 307th Avenue, Asbury Park. Again, I'm clarifying, I'm speaking as a citizen of Asbury. I'm calling and I'm trying to piggyback off of the gentleman earlier who was talking about a plan. We have a plan slated for Asbury that is very old. And part of this plan that is a little bit bothersome to me is the slated empty spot on Lake Avenue, slated for a park. I don't think that's beneficial to the city. I know it's already slated, but it's not beneficial to the city. We need to do something to enhance the city, some rateables, some tax breaks, some jobs, something impressive, something that will bring us into 2000 instead of a 15-year-old, 20-year-old plan. We need something that is beneficial to the city. And also, we can move the park. We have a lot of different pocket parks in a lot of different places on the west side, but there is a piece of land in between the schools that the city owns that is undeveloped, and it's brand new and open, that you can develop into a nice park and use something great there, some kind of facility, some kind of supermarket, some kind of something that can bring jobs and rateables to the city. Have y'all ever thought about re-pushing that over to somewhere that's more beneficial than that area right there? Something that will bring some kind of equity to the city?
Want me to go?
Well, are you done just because?
Yes, I'm asking the question.
Okay, but are you done with all your questions? Because like I say, once we start, we're not going to have go back.
Yes, and then you can sit and conversate with the school board, about the rateables, about bringing some housing, some supermarkets, some stores, some kind of equity to the area, something to the city that can kind of bring the tax burden down. And that's pretty much my questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, in regards to the park on Springwood Avenue, all right, the location of that park is tied, all right, to county monies that we have received, all right, because there was an acquisition, all right, for certain properties. All right, once we did that, all right, that was a committal on behalf of the city that we were going to, all right, raise that park there. All right, at one time, if you're talking about the land between the middle school and the Obama, all right, elementary school, all right, that is not city property. All right, that's Board of Ed property. All right, at one time, the city, all right, had a 25-year lease on that. All right, and we did control it, and we used it for recreational purposes. But at one time, or probably about 10 years ago or so, a little bit longer, we were told by the Board of Education that they would not renew, that lease with the city. So that was an ideal spot.
Can I say, just quickly, as of, records that I'm a little privy to, I don't believe that to be so at this moment. You can check the records and other things in that manner, but I don't believe that to be so. And also, if something is, you made a plan, we had a lot of plans. We have a lot of developments. We have a lot of people who run out of money. And things that are supposed to be there. We can take that money if it's allowed it. We don't have to accept every dollar that comes into the town if it doesn't benefit the town. We can ask the people who run the money, can we put it somewhere else? Can we have it somewhere else? And also, the development on that side, it needs something new. The Michaels Group ran out of money again. It's empty, it's wide open. Can we have some people come in with some money that don't need tax breaks to develop that side of land? That we don't have to give it away. They'll run here to develop it into something great that will bring we can't continue to run the city off of parking tickets and fines. We have to have something that is equitable for everybody in the city. So I'm asking, is it possible, when you're redoing this plan and bringing it up to 2015, like Ms. Quinn said, is it possible you can look at a brand-new look, take some of the old and make something new? Because it's 2015 and things are very different now than they were even 5 years ago.
So the only thing I'm gonna, can I just clarify the plan? Okay, I'm just gonna, just so you know, Felicia, there's 8 redevelopment zones in Asbury Park with approximately, and don't quote me on this, but I'm in the ballpark, with approximately 8 different plans. The plan that we were referring to before is the 2002 WRA plan. I think you're referring to the Springwood Ave Advisory Committee plan, which basically said that we should put a park there. We applied for money, we got funds for money. Now, the Springwood Ave Advisory Plan, and don't quote me, but I don't think that plan is that old. I think that's
a little bit.
Maybe
10.
2010? I was gonna say
10.
2010.
No, it's older than 2010. It's been revamped, but it's a little bit older than that.
2008,
2005. It's about 10 years old.
Just so I'm not saying it's not an old plan. I'm just saying there's just so the audience understands, there's a couple of plans. The plan I think you're referring to is the Springwood Ave,
New Avenue plan, yes.
That's all.
And if anybody knows of any developers that want to come in and build anything in Asbury Park, One Municipal Plaza, second floor, city manager's office will meet 24/7, 365 days. So as much as everybody has these developers they want to come in and build, nobody's banging down our doors saying, hey, we'll build, but we're opening up the doors, bring them to us.
I'm taking that as a promise.
Why wouldn't we meet with anybody that wants to build?
Okay, because we have, Michael's group that's ran out of money a few times.
But that's, okay, your time's up, but please, if you know somebody with all this money that wants to build something in Asbury Park, please bring them to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Rita Moreno, 8th Avenue. Listen, I requested an Oprah request for the beachfront budget for last year. I was astonished about what I read. It said that we spent $643,000 on salaries. I'm talking about the beachfront. For last year, we spent $36,000 on gasoline. We spent $25,000 on overtime. We only made $1.4 million. We spent it all. I mean, if we're going to run a business, we better learn how to run one. You can't spend that kind of money. I mean, I had a business too. And when things were good, I hired more people. When things were bad, I didn't have them. I mean, like, we have to really cut back. How do you have salaries? And plus, insurance is so high, and workers' comp, and all this is in here. And we wind up with zero. If that's the case, don't charge on the beach. Let them come and swim free. You don't need to spend $1.4 million on a budget. $1.4 million, $10,000 for other expenses. I mean, there's all kinds of things in here. $36,000 for gasoline? That's almost, I don't know what to say about that. I really think that you really should revamp this whole thing. You can't have that many workers. You don't need that many workers. Not for $643,000 when you're only taking in 1.4, and that's without workers' comp, unemployment. I mean, like, what are we doing here? And the only reason I brought this up is because I know you are busy. I know you're trying to do a good job. And I just want to point this out to you, that something is radically wrong here. There is not one business head running any department here. This should be run like a business. This is our business. That's an opportunity for us to make money. In here is parking, too. If we didn't get the $125,000 for parking, we would have really had a deficit. This is not good. And you have to do something about this. And you could do it this year, but I don't know now. I don't know how many people you've hired. I mean, okay, Mova?
No, that was something else, I think.
Oh.
No, somebody's phone rang.
Oh, but I mean, like, it's not your fault. This is last year's budget. But I just want to point it out to you. I try to help you in any way I can. You have to look at this. If parking is our business, Beachfront is our business. What are we doing? We made zero. So just make the beaches free and then that's it. Swim at your own risk. So did you look at this?
Are you done?
Yeah.
Yes, now you're done. You want to
Okay.
respond?
Yeah, so Rita, I'm with you. Open up the beaches for free.
Yeah.
The issue is you need to provide the services for the beach. We need to do that. If you know our waterfront, we need to provide those services. And the law is actually pretty clear on this. Your waterfront, what you make in your beach budget stays in your beach budget. So your beach utility essentially should be zero. Now, Christie got rid of the public advocate's office, so nobody's checking on that. But that's the way the books should look. You take in the revenue and you spend it on the beach. It doesn't go anywhere else. So what you're seeing actually makes me happy because that's the way we're supposed to do it.
But you don't have to be a utility. You can
It's the
drop
law.
that
There's no
word.
other option.
If
There's
we
no
were,
other option.
whatever we are, we're bound by state laws. State law says we cannot run the beachfront and make a profit and take that profit and put it into the general budget to reduce taxes. That's state law. Belmar got nailed 10 years ago by it and got fined heavy. Since then, Belmar has everything. You're talking about the salaries. You have information I haven't seen. But the salaries, some employees are charged year-round down there because it's a year-round operation. You're talking about lifeguards, they're not year-round, but you're talking about lifeguards, you're talking about ticket takers, you're talking about gate checkers, you're talking about the people that clean the beach, you're talking about people that clean the boardwalk, you're talking about gasoline. That thing that goes up and down the beach every day, cleaning it, takes gas. The trucks that plow the boardwalk in the wintertime take gas. Those numbers are not fudged whatsoever. If anything, they're probably low. We take some department heads numbers, say the director of DPW, because probably 20% of his time is dedicated to the beach, so we're taking 20% of his salary and charging to the beach budget, which we're allowed to do. So the cost of the 634, what you said, believe me, if those numbers were wrong, somewhere would have us in front of DCA. Our budget is approved because we're a transitional aid city by DCA and scrutinized line by line item, and they say, you're doing everything perfect. And if we weren't doing anything perfect, they would slap us on the wrist. We would be in front of an administrative law judge saying you're breaking the statutes and you're using beach money to reduce taxes. I wish we could. We can't. So we have to put it back into the beach. And that's the way it is.
You can't change the utility anymore?
I didn't say that. I'm saying what we're doing is what we have to do as per state law.
Okay.
Thank you,
Just
Rita.
telling you.
Hello, Mayor and Council, Jerry Sgrano, Long Branch. I would like to say, Yvonne, thanks for bringing up about jobs for the kids, but we have a billboard that should have the sign, the taxpayers paid for it. It should be used by the taxpayers so they can promote jobs. And then you got the coaster that can do it, and you have an email system from all of the organizations. They should have it and be promoting the jobs for the students, because for the kids, because they want everybody to have a job. They need the skills now. The other thing is, what's happening with the housing authority, with the lost funds? Is anybody going to be held accountable, or is that going to disappear somewhere in the woods in Trenton? Just like you think about that. The other thing is, Monday, I was here listening to the code enforcement lawyer, and I know I was not daydreaming, but I could not summarize what he talked about. Could anybody up there summarize to me what we talked about for 20 to 25 minutes? Because I haven't had time to watch it on TV, but I really thought it was very difficult to follow, and I need someone to tell me that. Then the other thing is the community garden. When we turned that beautiful lawn into a community garden, everybody knew the risk of planting on public land. I lived in New York City. They never put a fence to make it look like an animal corral or a dog kennel. That is disgusting looking, that wooden fence around the public thing. If you want to plant on public land and your food gets eaten up, so may be it. It's a learning experience to connect with your agrarian roots. I'm sorry, the fence needs to go. The other thing is, we don't have a city manager, and what Rita brought up about the beachfront, you really need a budget committee. it's gone too wild. You have to rein it in. You need a budget committee. So could someone please summarize what happened Monday, because I know I wasn't daydreaming, and the kennel, it's nice carpentry work, but that needs to go. The trains ride by. It's bad enough looking at Memorial Drive and the wreck that place looked like. We don't need the beautiful City Hall looking like we have dogs that are living on the place.
You done?
Thank you.
Okay. I'll address a couple of the questions. One I can't address. The Housing Authority is a separate entity, and what's happening there, I know just from being on it, there's an ongoing investigation. What's taken so long? What's going on? We have nothing to say.
Not in the papers anymore.
Well, you would have to go to the Housing Authority meeting and ask their board what's going on with that.
Okay.
As far as the fence, that type of fence was chosen because a year from now, I think you're going to say, you want to know something? I was wrong. Because it was chosen where vines can grow up on it and you'll never see.
Okay, that would be kind of good.
Right, and that's why I thought the same thing you thought, Jerry, until it was explained to me. Want to know why we picked that fence? Because we're going to put vines on the inside, vines on the outside, and in a year, you're never going to see the fence. And then you're going to say, wow, wasn't that smart? So
Okay.
give it a year, and I think you're going to change on that one.
Because John called me about the fence and said, is this really the fence the commission
Because
wants?
I thought the same thing.
And the reason the commission picked it was because with the intention of putting flower boxes and trying to make that as green in terms of what we're gonna grow on it. And the one thing I'll say to you, Jerry, is 3 years we spent with no fence. By the third year, it was so bad, people don't want beds. So when you say that the whole purpose of the community garden is to get to know your other growers, nobody wanted beds anymore because not only were people weren't taking tomatoes, they were digging out the plants of the tomato. So once we reached a point where people then were considering not getting beds at all, that was the reason for the fence. So in theory, the fence will be a beautiful fence with vines and flower boxes and all of that over it. And people who put a few $100s worth of seeds and time into their box will not have all of their stuff ripped off. And then the one other thing I'm going to say about the community garden is that 8 of those beds are for the high school. So high school kids and Tom and the Environmental Commission come and garden those beds. And no offense, but I think it would be outrageous for a bunch of high school kids to be spending hours and hours of their time gardening to have all of their stuff ripped up. So the fence was something that we, and Joe can fill in anything I forgot, was something that we held off for as long as humanly possible until it became, the garden wouldn't work without it.
Oh, it's okay. Garden, the flowers would be really nice there.
And I'll do an update on code because some people weren't here and I think it's something that's really important to me. What we've been looking at since January is overhauling the CO and TOT inspections at rental properties. And the original proposal in front of us was to do them every year across the whole city, which has some benefits because it gets into all of the apartments and into the landlord's buildings that maybe aren't doing what they should be doing.
There's a lot of them that don't do CFOs.
Right, so it would give us that. The feedback from the council to the code department head was, we don't want to penalize landlords that are doing a good job, that are keeping their buildings, they're passing all the time, and spend all of our time in those buildings. So what he came back with on Monday was a tiered proposal. So you would do a CO, citywide COs, and you would graduate into a category or a class that would say, this landlord, all of his homes were in compliance, all of his rental units were in compliance, he does a good job, he'll get another inspection in 3 years. There would be others that would fall into different categories, and their inspections would be more often. So if somebody fails 50% of their units, we would be back there every 3 months with a fee for every time we inspect them until they're in compliance, they're doing right by their tenants, and then they're bumped up to the higher level, and then we are, giving them the ability to take care of their own properties, but there will always be that oversight. But it's the tiered system that we talked about, and then of course we got into another discussion, because it's complicated, about code in general, and what should we be doing? Should we have somebody doing exterior, not superficial, Warner, exterior checks and then
House numbers.
house numbers, exactly, looking at the exterior things, so the code inspectors could focus on other issues. Should we be having people come in who are experts just to deal with the COs? So that is off the plate of our code officials. So there was a lot discussed, but the main point was this tiered system for COs and how to best manage it.
I just want one thing. I believe that should be connected with the Board of Education so we know who's living where for the students. So it works. It's a net to catch children that may live in bad conditions. And then the other thing about the jobs. No, the jobs. No, you're gonna do are you gonna use the billboard that we paid for looking for jobs for the students?
I'm sure Tony will talk about that tomorrow at the department head meeting. I'm sure the answer will be yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, can I have a motion to close the public portion?
Close.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Okay. Consent agenda resolutions. All matters listed on the consent agenda are presented collectively to the City Council and will be considered for approval with one vote. These matters are considered to be routine in nature, and there will be no individual discussion on these items. If discussion is desired by one or more council members as to the particular item or items, then said item or items shall be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. The items are Resolution 2015-216, resolution establishing additional fees relating to special events within the city. Resolution 2015-223, approving special events wedding applications as presented on June 8, 2015. Resolution 2015-224, resolution in the City of Asbury Park to approve an extension of the APUEZ second generation loan to AJ Sneakers. Resolution 2015-225, resolution of the City of Asbury Park to approve the dissolution of the Asbury Park Zone Development Corporation. Resolution 2015-226, authorizing the tax collector to prepare and deliver estimated 2015 third quarter tax bills. And 2015-227, resolution of the City of Asbury Park to adjust sewer account. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it. Second.
Question.
Go ahead.
And just, I know the one that we had trouble with on the special events has been removed.
Revised.
Revised.
Yes.
But the wording says, as presented on June 8, 2015, so that should be changed also, shouldn't it be?
Well, you discussed it, and you discussed that you didn't wish to have it.
Yeah. Okay.
All of these applications were addressed by Mr., I guess it was Lisho, who was here on Monday. And that's why it references the meeting held on June 8th. And the one event that the council had a problem with has been removed. So you'd be moving forward to approve all of the other applications that were presented by Ms. Floyd on Monday.
Okay.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
We're on to individual resolutions. Resolution 2015-228, resolution authorizing the payment of payroll in the amount of $846,989.42. May I have a motion?
Move it. Second.
Questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-229, resolution authorizing payment of bills in the amount of $2,237,559.13. May I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Questions? Comments? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Abstain?
And Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-230, resolution amending temporary appropriations for 2015. May I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-231, resolution authorizing the purchase of a 2015 F-250 four-wheel drive vehicle for utility body and other options for the Department of Public Works. Can I have a motion, please?
Move it. Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-232, resolution authorizing the purchase of two 2015 F-250 four-wheel drive vehicles with options for the Department of Public Works. May I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-233, resolution requesting dedication of right for dedicated trust for the annual National Night Out. May I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-234, authorizing professional engineering services with T&M Associates for various projects. May I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-235, authorizing professional engineering services with T&M Associates for Sunset Park footbridge replacement. May I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-236, approving the design of new trash receptacles for use in various sections of the waterfront redevelopment area. May I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-237, resolution of mayor and city council of the city of Asbury Park authorizing the transfer of block 3205, lot 16, located at 601 Heck Street between Monroe Avenue and Sewell Avenue. May I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Resolution 2015-238, authorizing execution of a license agreement between the City of Asbury Park and Jersey Central Power and Light Company. May I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
Comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Now on to ordinances, first reading and introduction. Ordinance 2015-32, amending and supplementing Chapter 7 entitled Traffic of the revised general ordinances of the City of Asbury Park, New Jersey, in order to implement a stop sign at the intersection of Sunset Avenue and Memorial Drive. Have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second.
And council, I did distribute to you revised versions of this ordinance based on the discussion that occurred on Monday evening to make it clear that this is intended only for the duration of the Sunset Avenue Bridge replacement project.
Any other comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Public hearing is scheduled for June 24th for this ordinance. We're now on to public hearing, second reading. Ordinance 2015-05, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 30 entitled Land Development Regulations of the revised general ordinances of the City of Asbury Park, New Jersey, in order to establish a new section thereof to be known as Article 7, entitled Request to Amend a Redevelopment Plan, Application Procedure, and Escrow Establishment. May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public, please?
Move it.
Second.
Is there any public comment regarding ordinance 2015-05? Motion to close?
Are you going, Rita, or no?
I was just going to say, I think you should explain that.
This ordinance has been before the council on several prior occasions. Don Samet, before he concluded his employment with the city, made a recommendation to the mayor and council that the council establish a process anytime an applicant makes a request of the mayor and council to amend an existing redevelopment plan in the city. Because there are administrative and professional fees and costs associated with processing such a request, the proposal from Mr. Samet was that the city would adopt an ordinance that would establish an application procedure whereby the applicant would have to post a non-refundable application fee and also escrow funding sufficient to cover the cost associated with the professionals and other administrative staff members who would be involved in the processing of that application. And that's what this is.
So essentially, it means that the city's no longer paying for that, developers are now paying for the professional services they get from the city.
This is very good. This is something we've been trying to get done for a year and a half. Roll call.
Motion to close, please.
Yep.
Move it.
Second.
And may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2015-05?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Ordinance 2015-18, ordinance governing care, maintenance, security, and upkeep of vacant and abandoned properties in foreclosure and amending and supplementing Chapter 13 entitled Property Maintenance of the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Asbury Park, New Jersey. Have a motion to open the public portion of the meeting, please?
Move it.
Second.
Brad, you want to give a brief description?
Your name and address, please.
Yes, Warner Baumgartner, 5th Avenue, Asbury Park. I think I found a little detail that needs to be fixed in this that may affect its legality. I'm not sure of it or not, but in all the other documents, you refer to the chapters of the city code. Chapters 1 through 30, right? In this first page here, you are referring to Chapter 13 of the City Code. And then all of a sudden, on the second page, you're referring to it as an article. Article 13, Property Maintenance.
Where on the first page is this, Warner?
Well,
What paragraph?
throughout all documents, the City Code is referred to in chapters. Then all of a sudden, in this particular ordinance that you're trying to vote on page 2, it's probably just a typo. The words article and chapter seem to be reversed.
And that doesn't at all seem substantial to me, Fred, to keep it from, right? We could just fix that.
Yeah, just, you probably...
It may be a typo, but I'm just checking.
Yeah, look at page 2 at the top, where it says, "Now therefore be it ordained, blah, 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 the city code, Article 13, property maintenance shall be amended with a new chapter." I think that's backwards. It should be, Chapter 13 is being amended with a new article.
You're correct.
Thank you.
Warner. It should be chapter, not article. And I would say that the next reference should be with a new section.
Section, which should be section,
13-3.
actually.
And those would be considered to be typos that could be corrected at second reading this evening.
Okay, great. That's all I got on this one. Just so you get the legal terminology right. Thanks.
Thank you. Motion to close. Second.
Move it.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2015-05?
First, council should move to amend the ordinance accordingly. So let's take a motion to amend the ordinance in those limited respects to change the words as indicated.
I'll make a motion to move.
To amend?
To amend. Make a motion to amend the ordinance so that it says, instead of Article 13, Chapter 13.
Chapter 13 and Section 13-3. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And now we should take a motion to adopt the ordinance as amended.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Ordinance 2015-29, adopting code of ordinances of the City of Asbury Park in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey. Can I have a motion to open the public portion of the meeting?
Move it.
Second.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Warner Baumgartner, 5th Avenue, Asbury Park. This is a long time working, trying to get this done, and I commend everybody that's involved with it. I had a chance today to look at the highlighted adds and deletes, which ironically I couldn't find anywhere. So I'm a bit concerned that all this work went into this, but nowhere was I able to locate an actual document that says this was deleted and this was removed. So it's posted on a website. but you can't really determine what was changed. So I'm a bit concerned about that. But in reading it today, a quick go-through, it all looks very good. What I am concerned about, though, is the way that the records are now going to be kept going forward. We went through all this trouble to have everything converted to an electronic format, codified by coded systems and put into a searchable database. However, all of the procedural things that are outlined in this document refer to paper copies. It refers to the clerk maintaining a paper copy, getting printouts and sticking them in the paper copy in the office for examination by people who may be interested. I mean, I understand that's the way it's done, and that's the way it's been done for years, and you need a hard copy someplace to do cross-checking, but in this day and age, and the fact that coded systems has now digitized the entire thing, I find it unbelievable that there's nothing in here that says things will be updated electronically as they're adopted. So I'm really suggesting you consider that. You need to put some wording in here that says, in addition to paper copies being stuck in the book as amendments and available for perusal, that whenever you adopt something and change an ordinance and update it or delete one, it immediately gets put into the electronic copy that people can then look up online and search. You can search it, staff can search it. It seems ridiculous for people to have to go to the clerk's office and look at a book every time they want to see what's going on. So what do you think about that?
I don't have a problem with it just saying that, and the online version will be updated accordingly.
I know that is the case. That in practice, that is absolutely what's going to happen. The code is now going to be updated immediately once ordinances are adopted. If we have Nancy Hayduck here from Coded Systems, and I'm sure she must have some language that she can insert very easily to memorialize what is intended. And to stick that in the appropriate place.
That would be great.
We do have to have physical hard copies available.
I understand that 100%. Yes, but in this day and age, I think we have to make it mandatory that we have a updated and valid electronic searchable copy at this point also, unless there's a problem with that or a legal thing that has to be addressed.
No.
So it would be a good idea to put it in here. Otherwise, who knows? It may not happen.
So if council would like to move forward with that, to actually put something in here, if there isn't something already reflected to that effect, and it seems that there isn't, we can do that tonight without affecting your being able to move forward and adopt the new code.
That's fine.
Great, thanks, I appreciate it. Would make things easier for everybody.
When was the last time you were 2 for 2?
Can I have a motion to close the public portion of 2015-29?
Move to close.
Second. And I move to...
Before you make the motion, though, can I make a suggestion? I had the opportunity to have a discussion earlier today with the mayor about one provision that's contained within the updated code, and it was actually addressed 2 weeks ago when we had our work session discussion, and it dealt with the fee for special duty, volunteer special duty assignments of the police and fire department. Previously, the fees were $65 per hour for both police and fire during the hours of 8 a.m. through basically midnight, and then going up to $75 per hour from midnight to 7 a.m., or 8 a.m. rather. During the course of our review of Chapter 2 and the meetings that took place with various department heads, the police had suggested that based upon the going rate in other municipalities, that perhaps the city should raise that by $10 per hour, and basically going from 65 and 75 up to 75 and 85. And when we had our initial discussion 2 weeks ago, the police rate was put in at the new proposed level fire had not yet been raised to that, and council suggested that they be made equal, and that both police and fire would be at the higher amount. But I think it was a misunderstanding at that time that those rates, or that the police rate was already at the higher level. The police rate was not at the higher level. So, based on my discussion with Mayor Moore of today, it may be that council would like to engage in some further thought about the dollar amount for the police and fire special duty assignments, and perhaps you would like to move forward to adopt the code tonight, leaving that provision at the old rates. And considering that there will be further action taken in the next several months with regard to additional chapters of the code, and that issue could always be addressed at a future time. So if you were going to amend this evening to include the item raised by Werner regarding having this all available electronically, you might want to also consider making another non-substantive amendment to go back to the rates that are in the temporary code, which are at the lower level, and study and make a final determination whether you want to raise the fees by $10 per hour based upon further review of what's in effect of other municipalities. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Yes, I think we want to do that.
Yes.
Yes, and because you're basically just reverting to what's already in the code as approved by resolution on January 1st, it's not a substantive amendment to revert back with regard to that particular provision to the existing rates.
So what do you need?
So I just need a motion right now to amend the new code that you're adopting to incorporate the provision about having it available electronically, and also to maintain the fees for volunteer special duty assignments of police and fire, so that they maintain, or they are consistent with what was adopted on January 1st by resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then we need a motion to adopt ordinance 2015-29 with the amendments that you've just approved.
Second.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Abstain.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Ordinance 2015-30, an ordinance amending and supplementing, Section 4-20, currently entitled Vending on Beachfront of Chapter 4, General Licensing of the Revised General Ordinances of the City of Asbury Park, New Jersey. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing of this ordinance?
Move it.
Second.
Yeah.
3 for 3.
Okay, Warner Baumgartner, Fifth Avenue. I just have a quick question here about this. You renumbered the section called removal of structures. And in reading this, it says, any and all temporary kiosks or concession stands, et cetera, shall be removed by November 2014. I seem to remember those so-called pop-up concessions were temporary. They've turned into permanent fixtures down there. I went to all the planning board hearings, and the whole idea behind those so-called pop-up container concessions was that the pavilions were unusable at the time. They needed to be rehabilitated to get rental space to put people in, right? And that's the reason that those concessions, those container pop-ups, as they're called, were allowed, and they were supposed to be temporary. Well, they've taken on a life of their own. They've become permanent fixtures down there. So it got me interested in what's the policy now? Are they just going to stay there forever, these tin cans on the corners of the green spaces? They were technically supposed to be temporary, pending renovating the pavilions, which are all renovated now.
Sunset Ave's not renovated. Sunset
Well,
Ave's not
Sunset,
renovated.
okay. Sunset and the casino and maybe part of the Fourth Avenue might be questionable. But I just wanted to call that to your attention, that this is actually saying that they shall be removed by November of last year. So I'm just wondering about that. Thanks.
It's a good question.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
I understood this very much.
Okay, like, Mayor and Council, like when I went to those meetings too, it's called Green Acres that they're using, and it was all temporary. That's why they were made out of cheap containers, not, heavy-duty stuff. It was supposed to help them. It's just like everything else. You give them, let them land on the beachfront, and before you know, they reach your mountains. You got to stop it. Thank you.
Motion to close the public portion?
Move it.
Second. Motion to adopt 2015-30.
Move it.
Second. Question.
Go ahead.
I wasn't at all those meetings. I was at some. I don't remember the verbiage, what temporary, and the definition of what temporary was. So I'm at a quandary here. Should have they all been knocked down in 2014, as it says? I said this Monday night. I've read this 4 times and I haven't understood it once. So, again, I don't even know what this is doing. But how do we find out?
I don't think this ordinance is intended for the shipping containers, if that's what you're referring to. They went
So
through,
vending.
they went
So
through a
keep
full
their
planning
vending
board
like-
process and got planning board approvals. This is for vending that's more along the lines of individuals who want to get the approval to vend on the boardwalk and walk around and vend, or set up some type of a very temporary structure to vend, but they have to get approval of the master redeveloper under the waterfront redevelopment plan and the agreement that the City of Asbury Park has with Madison Asbury Retail from 2010. And the November 30th date was the date that was set forth in a prior ordinance saying that this ordinance would expire. But I don't believe that the shipping containers are subject to, that's a different, that went through full planning board process and got approvals. I'd be happy to take a look at the planning board resolutions and see if there's any conditions in there, that imposed any kind of temporary nature on the shipping containers, but this is different. This is for vendors who are really walking vendors, and the intention was so that vendors wouldn't be able to just come to the boardwalk and start vending their merchandise and wares in competition with the tenants who are paying rent in the pavilion properties, basically.
So by doing this, are we just cleaning up something that should have been done in 2014? And
yes.
And we're just getting it off the books, which should have been done last year?
Yes.
Okay.
But I think the point is something that we should look into, the resolutions that were approved by the planning board regarding the shipping containers, just so that we can verify what conditions may have been associated with, by way of period of time, associated with those containers and the green spaces up at the waterfront.
I agree. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Councilmember Clayton? Yes. Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Councilmember Warner?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
Have a motion to adjourn?
Move it.
Second.